4th of July weekend 2016. We are at Lake Van Norden. Yeah, I know it's wobbling. It's not a very well labeled area. That's the old dam, folks. And they started damming this lake or this area back in 1870. The dam was built in 1870, rebuilt in 1890, and expanded in 1915, covering the original road, original wagon road. And you can see right here, I mean, they have a couple wagon roads that are back in here. The Immigrant Trail, the Dutch Flat, Immigrant Road. This area, you'd have to travel through this area if you wanted to go to Truckee. We're not too far from Truckee. It's a Native American site. It dates back to 2000 BC when the Martis Indians came to these lands to hunt. And I mean, they didn't just migrate seasonally here, but this is an area that they use mortars or form mortars and cupules, or what they've known as grinding rocks, so that they could feed the tribe, grinding down seeds and acorns and such. Basically what it comes down to make a meal. So what we could say is the natives have eaten here for over 2,000 years. And it is a historic trail. There's been a dam at the end of Summit Valley since 1870s. That's what I said earlier. If you look at the top of the photograph, to the left of the dam, you can also see buildings which used to be downtown Soda Springs Station. So yeah, there is history here. There was a hotel, bar, store, and livery. We don't know who built the first dam or what it was used for. A passerby said it had built in vain to attempt an ice pond. They may have built the dam also to retain some of the water so that they could cut ice blocks. There's an ice house up here. I don't think it no longer stands. But they did have an ice pond. It says later the South Yuba Canal used the dam to impound water for irrigation and electrical generation. The dam even the flow of the Yuba River late in the season when Sierra rivers became more mere rivulets, but pitiful contrast to the swollen turbulent torrents which coursed through the Grand Canyons and Meadow Lake valleys for this year. So this is Summit Valley. You'll see the valley more once we get beyond the woods. As the lake drained each year, grasses grew and the station continued their journey. And of course that brought in sheep herders. The dam was named Charles von Norden, who came to the west to manage his family investment in the South Yuba Canal Company, later the Central California Electrical Company. PG&E took over the dam in the 20th century, operated it and the lake behind until 1976. You can see the lake's much bigger. Today it's nearly dry. It says PG&E wanted to enlarge the dam, but discovered it sat on gravel, not bedrock. If there was an earthquake, 5,800 acre feet of water would flood down the Yuba River back in the day, so it was a concern. Rebuilding was deemed too expensive, so the state required the dam to be notched, let out water, and empty in the lake. And today it's a recreational hiking area. When PG&E discovered the dam, it was sitting only on a glacial till or gravel. They first wanted to rebuild the dam 100 feet east. The original dam had been constructed by wagons sprinkling dirt layer upon layer until the dam was 20 feet high. Earth-filled dams need to be constructed of compacted earth. And it says if the current dam was compacted to modern standard of safety, it would occupy 1/3 current volume. So, it's pretty interesting. Here's where we are. Donner Lake. The railroad tracks kind of follow it. Rail tracks came right past here, so people would stay at the hotel or the station. It's a railroading area, very historic since the first transcontinental railroad was built, and highway. Definitely, it's definitely interesting here. It's going to be a little wet where we're heading through. Good for Bigfoot tracks. It's a busy area, but that don't mean at night this creature don't come out for a drink or to hunt and leaves a track or two behind. So we're going to be paying attention to we're going to go up in the meadow where the grasses are high and look in between the grass for tracks. This is going to be one of these expeditions that, whoa, you guys know you're supposed to go here, right? Up here? You went up here? Oh, okay. Quite steep right here, but I definitely will manage. My backpack's a little heavy. I got extra water today for everyone, including me. Standing on top of the dam. It's historic. Oh, cool, look at the birds. Wow. Wow. We can go right or left, guys. Got a lot of pelicans out there, and ducks and geese. Yeah, it's drying out, so you have to kind of get, the birds have to get all the water they can get. Nice views of Castle Peak today. The same views, the early pioneers who came here to the Donner Lake area. Same views. They haven't changed in 150 years. Wow. I believe that's Castle Peak. It's a good 6-mile hike to the top. I'm thinking about doing it next year. Very pretty. I hear lots of geese. I'm going to start heading into the woods, so now the hike's going to get a little more primitive. It's a mix of woods, creeks, even the river will be crossing today. This is going to be a great hike, folks. So we're about to reach our first Indian grinding rock. They call them, the holes that are found in the rocks are called mortars. Oh, here's some pretty flowers. A lot of flowers on this hike. $50 million years ago, this area had jungles, crocodiles. Actually, there was no mountains here. There was nothing. No Sierra in Nevada. When the volcanoes erupted, it kind of transformed the geology here. Not only the geology, but it also, it brought a lot of rock and a lot of sharp, rigid lava flows, which cooled off, and then when the ice age occurred, it kind of carved out the canyons and the landscape that you see here. North America 50 million years ago met the Pacific Ocean, which is eastern California. And this area sat under the ocean or under a sea at one time. There should be a grinding rock up here, guys. Somewhere in these rocks, I'll find it. You'll see it. I gotta look at my coordinates, but we'll find it. These are called cupules or mortars. See if you find any over there. You have to understand something, folks. The Native Americans, known as the Martis tribe, came here every summer for thousands of years. Most of them either, like the Washoe, and would live in Nevada, and they'd spend the winters in Nevada and come up here in the summers when the snow melted. And so they were migratory. They emigrated from one place to another, or nomadic, between two and three different homes. And these are known as cupules, caused by decades of grinding acorns and into flour and such. And this is what you get from the erosion. Did you find anything over there? Any petroglyphs? This is an Indian grinding rock. And of course, as we hike today, I want you to keep in mind there's many areas like this. Is not the only one. Okay, but this gives you an idea of what you're going to see. There are petroglyphs, there are grinding rocks, there's some historic sites like an old Emigrant road, ice house probably ruins if it still stands, if they still have foundations. There's, I believe, an old hotel site. We're going to see a couple cabins, a sheep herder's camp. It's kind of like Kaisber's back here. When we went to Kaisber's, it was very similar. But the Martis culture came here between 2000 BC, 600 AD, and they lived in this valley, which is Summit Valley, grinding seeds, hunting, acorns for basically hundreds of years. And that's what you get, is these mortars. And the Kings Beach culture, which is in North Lake Tahoe, came here 1000 to 1850 AD, and they occupied this area as well, but they used the lake and the streams around here for fishing, to harvest fish. They knew how to build nets and baskets and so forth. They could catch 500 pounds of fish a day if they wanted. They had the know-how of the outdoors. And they would take, how it's done is you take a little rock and you put an acorn in one area and you just keep grinding. When the cupules are formed, then you can put the acorn in there. It's kind of like a mortar and pestle. That's why they call them mortars. Because that's basically what it is. It's a mortar and pestle. You make the pestle out of stone. So there is a little history here. This is ancient. This is ancient rock. This is ancient history. These cupules could date back to 1,000 years ago. And they also call large areas called metates. They're large grinding areas on flat surfaces. So this is a metate because you have multiple. I call it a grinding rock. It's what they call them in certain parts of California. But it's a metate. It's fairly flat on top. And the Native Americans would sit on the rock, the women generally would do this, and grind the seeds. But it would take years to develop the mortars within the rock. And usually the women and the girls would sit here and, you know, they'd train one another. This is how you ground seeds in the flour or whatever. They'd have to harvest and store up for winter. They'd come here, they'd stock up, and they'd bring all their supplies back to Nevada or where the winters were less harsh in the California Valley. But there was jungles, crocodiles swimming where this rock is. Oh, this rock probably didn't exist because this is, this is granite. It was probably brought here via volcano and glacier. But back before this was all flat land, yeah, there was a sea here. There was crocodiles. There was a swamp. There was, like I said, a jungle here. So pretty interesting stuff. And you guys get the idea. Our first grinding rock here at Van Nordic Lake.
So this is how you throw a spear these days.
Not towards me, you don't.
Like that.
That's a spear? Looks more like a twig that just broke in half.
Yeah.
So we're heading off to our next destination. It's our first mortar site. I don't have site 1, 2, or 3 or anything in general. I just, there's throughout the whole lake, entirety of the lake, you're going to find grinding rocks like the one I just showed you guys. And so, they're all connected to the same tribe. I mean, there was more than one tribe that came here. You had the Martis, and later on, I'm sure the Washoe came through here. It's north of Tahoe, and other tribes as well. And these were Native American village sites. Wherever you see the grinding rocks is where the Native Americans settled for the summer. It's where they dined at. It's where they ate at for thousands of years. Okay.
It's Indian style.
Okay.
Right,
They used to spearfish. All right, go.
I'm back on. That's cheap.
That's it?
Well, I'll prepare.
20 feet?
No, I could do
Here.
farther. Let me take
Here,
off.
no.
Wait.
You film. Watch me. No, don't take off your bag. We're
Wait.
going, dude.
Okay.
Watch. Okay, I'm going to show you that everybody has a little primate.
You don't do it. You don't do it right. Yeah, you don't do it. Yeah, right there.
This is the javelin, like the Olympics.
You so fail. Now you can spear something that you can't
5
hit.
feet.
Well, you can't spear something that you can't
Oh, well,
hit.
I didn't know you wanted me to spear something. I didn't spear anything other than just throw it. What can I say? There's a little Native American in all of us. If you appreciate the nature like they did here, you know what I'm saying? I mean, this is an area that they loved. They obviously stayed here for thousands of years, and they did that because they loved this area, just like we'll love it today. Look, something stepped down right here.
Oh yeah. Go down.
Could be a human.
Maybe.
Right from the woods, came from the woods. Probably human. There's no trails, you just go wherever.
I'm not telling you what. That was rude. Whatever. Yeah. Okay.
So folks, Summit Valley is a subalpine meadow. Has 20 species of mammals, over 100 species of birds, over 500 plants. Probably about 20 to 30 species of butterfly that come through here.
Oh, that should play football.
But the shallow lake that you seen earlier with the pelicans is about 10 times smaller than what it used to be. It was lowered in 1976 because PG&E was concerned about the earthquake, and since it was an earth type of dam, yeah, if it broke loose, it could flood these local towns. But they used to have a sheep herding ranch here, over 2,000 sheep, and we're going to visit it today. The sheep are no longer there, but there is a cabin site, and in a cabin you can check out with a corral, and so I look forward to it. There's a bird, hold on. See folks, I hear a train coming.
A beautiful dragonfly.
Whoa.
Dad, did you see that dragonfly?
Is that labeled? Is that the trail right there?
Yeah, it is.
Look at that.
No, that's a campsite, I think. Want me to go see?
Go check it out, see what that sign says. There's no water flowing through this creek, supposed to have water. There's a lot of flowers here. We're also going to come across, besides the Yuba River, Castle Creek. That creek we just crossed over here it's dry. I mean, there's no water flowing, but it could be a seasonal creek. And as you can see, oh yeah, look folks, here we go. Same view the immigrants would have seen coming through here. They'd camp on the lake. That's pretty. This is the PG&E electric lines, folks. Don't think that we're not in the wilderness. It's just, you have to bring power through the Sierras to these small towns. And Dutch Flat still exists today, and so does the wagon road, the old wagon road that comes through here. Dutch Flat's a town we've done research, investigated it for ghosts, did the Chinese cemetery, the historic cemetery, which contained all the miters and Masonics. It's a German immigrant town. There's a lot of unrest between the Chinese and the Germans, such as Chinatown being burned down. However, if you look, I mean, like I say, these power lines will go to places like Dutch Flat. So you had to build the power lines right into the mountains in the middle of this scenic country, which you can see a peak up ahead. If you look, and the power lines go past the peak. Okay, our next site comes in about 400 feet, I think. We got a ways to go. The Patterson Trail, not Rover's Run. We don't want to go to Rover's Run. That's a whole different trail. It says you can bring dogs. There's a picture of a dog. Oh yeah, that's dog trail. See the picture of the dog? It also says watch out for snakes, I think. Oh, look at this, guys. Hey, hun, stand there with Jared. I think that's Castle Peak. All right. See, folks, beautiful scenery surrounds the Summit Valley. That's one of the reasons I came here today. That's gorgeous. But as I was saying earlier, you could imagine the Native Americans preparing their meals here. Because that's what they basically did. They made flour out of seeds. And you could use the flour as a food subsistence. But I mean, the truth of the matter is that for thousands of years, the Native Americans had been coming here in the summers. This was their home. See, in our culture today, we kind of tend to forget that America is thousands of years old, or North America, and that for 10,000 years, the natives were here before us, and they had huts, and they had teepees or bark houses. I mean, they would build out of logs different structures, like at Indian Grinding Rock near Volcano, California. They rebuilt the village, but you could see what the village is like. It was quite advanced, their villages. They weren't just a bunch of animal skins covering a piece of a tree or a piece of bark. I mean, these cultures had built entire villages where we're standing today. So could there be EVPs, EMF? Possibly. I've heard of people, even till this day, recently finding artifacts in the woods and along the trail. Because the Native Americans were here for thousands of years. And someday, where I live, out by Tahoe, and let's say I die, 10,000 years from now, people are going to be walking over my house. My house might become a jungle someday. Because as the tectonic plates move around and land separates, this could become one day Antarctica. But this was a jungle and a sea. And there was alligators and crocodiles here. And I mean, dinosaurs. And now it changed over, you know, to a culture that was advanced and had villages along the creek and along this lake. This lake's thousands of years old, formed by glaciers and volcanic activity. But there was no hills or mountains here. You see all these mountains, they didn't exist 50 million years ago. This was flat. There was water flowing around here, and it's just a different world. Things change. And in 10,000 years, people may be saying, hey, this is where Lord Rick, the paranormal investigator for the Paranormal Ghost Society, prepared his meals. Because maybe I'll leave some evidence behind. Like my name's carved on trees, but most trees will die after a couple hundred years. But you never know. We all leave our mark, some more than others. And in my journeys, I've been to a lot of places, and we hope someday someone will study the history of me and my culture and the things that I did and accomplished. And so I do honor the fact, unlike most people, I'm very aware that this is a Native American village site. And so we have to respect that thousands of years ago, people lived here, grinding the rocks, making flour, trying to survive, trying to make the best of their lives, dancing under the moon. I mean, you know, they didn't have television or anything. But all these granite rocks you see, yeah, I mean, they served a purpose. The natives used everything around them in their surroundings. So we're going to continue to head deep within the Tahoe National Forest as we get more primitive. Searching more grinding rocks. Somewhere in here there's a couple more. It's very spread out. Wherever the grinding rocks were, there was probably a village site. Did you find it? Check this big rock straight ahead. Oh, you did? Huh. How strange. I'll look over here. Oh boy. Too overgrown for my backpack and me. There are pelicans too. Lots of pelicans. Folks are looking for more grinding rocks. I try to keep things simple. Don't get into, I gave you a scientific name earlier, but we'll just say grinding rocks. Where the natives for probably 50 to 60 to 100 years would grind in the same mortar or cupule until they were formed a new one. I'm going to check over here. It shows it right in here, right out in front, right in this area, and I don't see the mortar. I don't see a rock with mortars. I'm going to check those rocks back in there. It's got to be here. Watch out for snakes. Wait a second. I may have found it. Ugh. Wow. Yeah, dude, I'm not seeing nothing. We'll just keep going, I guess. Yeah, it's supposed to be in this area, dude, but ow.
It's nice.
Got me in the nuts, dude. That hurts. I looked. Well, only a little bit, not completely. Yeah, I don't see them. Nothing. I'm thinking that there is no more cupules. There's supposed to be some. Could be off, but I'm not seeing many rocks. There's a rock to the left, but it's too overgrown. See it to the left right there? Yeah, dude. I'm running out of rocks. I don't think we're going to find this one. That's all right. We'll move on. We'll find more. It's overgrown back there, man. Scenic. Look, Jared. A bear print. There's toes, but it's a bear. I don't think it's Bigfoot. Come here, Jared. What do you think? Some toes, but probably a bear. I'm thinking, folks, that that was a bear print. Had you seen back there? I mean, it was as wide as my foot. But there was round, curved toes. And bear have, you know, paws and toes. I mean, when you really think about it, a lot of Bigfoot tracks are mistaken identity. It's actually bear. And that wasn't enormous or anything. So we calculate it was bear. But as you can see, even I'm filming and still looking for tracks. You can tell we're exploring and doing what we're supposed to be doing out here. Here's some tracks here, but too small. We gotta go. Huh? I don't know. There was a whistle too. I'm not sure what's going on. I hear pelicans, but I also hear people, and I don't know where the hell they are. The screaming and everything else. Probably seen a bear and freaked out. Oh, it's a bear. Yeah, just get the bear all nervous so he attacks you. Come on. All used to be lake. Now the meadows are starting to consume this place. There's hardly any water. And you can hike out in these meadows. There's a ton of butterflies. I just got done photographing some beautiful black and white. They're this black and white butterfly. Very large. And it was sitting on some of the flowers. There's a lot of flowers here. But we'll continue to hike and look for Sasquatch prints. I mean, I don't know if I'll find any. You have to consider this is a valley. These Bigfoot-like creatures do come down at night into the valleys for deer, water. They're tribal, so they collect things. What? It's called a horsefly, dude. And yes, they do bite. Yes, they do bite. Yeah, you're lucky you didn't get stung by a bee. She got stung by a bee.
He did.
Huh?
He did get stung by a bee.
When?
Before I did.
Oh. Horsefly, don't bother me. Shoefly, don't bother me. Horsefly, don't bother me. Housefly, horsefly, barnfly, shoefly, it's all the same. They all bite and puke and bite. That's what flies do. They puke, then they suck it up. Puke on your food and suck it right back up. Disgusting creatures. Now, you know what's a good creature? Bees. You know why? Bees bring the Lord honey. And I'm sure the natives around here probably utilize the honey too. Because it's an antibiotic. It's natural. Oh, here we go. Yay! We're almost halfway through our hike. Which seems like it's impossible considering it's 4 miles. But we've been trucking along. The breeze feels good. You have to keep in mind, folks, we've had some 95-degree days almost. And so it's good to be out here with a nice breeze. It's sunny, but still a nice breeze does help. So we're going to be entering the marshland, and this is the meadow. The sheep herding camp is all the way Yeah. Yeah, it's all the way over here. I'll have it on my GPS, I'll look, but we got to cut over to it. There's a cabin site from 1870. There's a hotel site up here, an old wagon road, and a Native American site. So we really, see there's bike tracks, just follow the bike tracks. Yep. They'll ride through the marshland, they don't care. You know? This used to be Norden Lake, folks. It's all meadows now for deer grazing. Used to be for sheep herding in the 1800s. They had over 2,000 sheep in this meadow back in the day. 2,000. 2,000. Bah. Bah, Lord Rick, yeah. Bah, Lord Rick. These Indian grinding rocks used to be underwater. Now they're exposed. Keep an eye for cupules. Grinding rocks. There's a lot of names for them, but you know, it's how they prep their meals. Mortar and pestle, that's how they made their medicines. Jared, go check that rock out, man.
We should play football here.
Football out here?
Yeah.
We can take a break, I don't care. There's some shade right here. It's the only shade in the meadow, so. Right here. Horse flies are not fun. We'll take a few minutes. I need a break anyways. So it used to be a lake, folks. I'm kind of weirded out by we're standing in the middle of a lake which has been lowered over the last 100 years. But when the natives were here, this lake would be sea to shining sea. But in other words, it would have been ridgeline to ridgeline. This whole area would have been filled with water. And this would have been about 50 feet deep where we're standing. And then, of course, 50 million years ago, it's quite possible that the sea that was here engulfed this place over 400 feet of water. So you have to understand that we're dealing with a lot more than just geology or earth changes or Native American culture. We have other cultures, like when the Europeans came here, built wagon roads, fished the lake, built hotels, ice houses, dams. So, you know, the early immigrants that first came through the Sierras, they had to cross this area, and they would camp on this lake. So again, a lot of history here. And I'm getting myself a beer, an ice cold beer. This is Lord Rick at Norden Lake.
Yes.
Lake.
I'm
playing in a seabed. This is a seabed. Ready?
Yeah.
That was an NFL throw right there.
Redo. I want to redo on that.
You want me to kick it?
Yeah.
Watch. I'll kick it. I'll get it to you too, as long as I hit it with the top of my foot.
Yeah. Oh God.
Come on! It's a good kick. Right through the hands. Whoa. That took a weird bounce.
Starting to think you guys are camera shy.
He's afraid. He's afraid to catch it. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Throw him high and far to me.
Okay.
When you hold it like this,
Yeah.
launch up. Watch.
Okay.
See how I launched it up? Get it. That was a bad pump, but it still went pretty far.
Alright.
Throw it. Go. Get it. Oh my God. So trekking through the meadow, which was once part of and in a vast sea millions of years ago, alligators actually were swimming above these lands you see, this earth. A million years from now, if humans don't exist, maybe some other life forms will, and they'll be checking us out. They might think of us as like extinct animals, who knows? However, after the Martis, well, see, the Europeans came in here and brought disease, so the Martis tribe and Washoe and other tribes in the area probably were wiped out, which we'll talk about later. from disease and so forth. But the Europeans came here, they built roads in this valley. Wagon trains came through here. Summit Valley was they had a station here. Soda Springs, you had a lot of wagon trains that came through here. Miners, early pioneers traveling to Nevada to live in these towns, which are ghost towns. But white people began to settle the valley, so they kind of chased the Native Americans out of their home for thousands of years along the Yuba River. The Yuba River's to our left. If you look, it gets lusher and lusher. Where it's most lush is where the Yuba River flows. It trickles in the summer, though. However, you had in 1861 a place called Cook's Cabin, somewhere around this area, where Castle Creek joins the Yuba River. And we're coming up on it. And when Cook's Cabin no longer existed, a cabin in the later 1800s came to be, I think maybe 1900s, early 1900s, where sheep herders lived. They could live on the property seasonally, keep an eye on their sheep, their herd. But after that, you have to understand, after Cook's Cabin and other settlers in the area, such as a station, a saloon, sheep herders, and so forth, came here, they lumbered this area. When the lumber was clear, you had dairy cattle and sheep. They planted some orchards, and there was even an ice house, because they obviously enhanced the reservoir so they could cut out ice blocks for the miners, keep the meat cold, ship them out to towns like Truckee, Sierraville, Dutch Flat, which the Emigrant Road, we're coming on the old Dutch Flat Road. We've been to Dutch Flat. It's pretty haunted. Got a lot of good EVPs there. Very historic, a lot of ghost stories, a lot of strange happenings. It's semi-ghost town. But then came a few hotels along this Immigrant Road we're coming up on, where the cabin is and the sheep herding ranch. And then the first transcontinental highway came through here, and it's a steep climb over Donner Summit. You know, we've been to the Donner Summit railroad tunnels. Those were pretty haunted. Even found a strange track up there. First transcontinental telephone line came through here. And then the South Yuba River was dammed. It's an earthen dam, which I took you guys to in the beginning. And it was labeled in 1860. Well, they called it the South Yuba River in South Yuba River Dam, and then they changed the name by 1890 to the Van Norden Dam. And of course, this is all lake, it's drying up. It poses no risk in an earthquake. Let me check my GPS once again. Wow. Let me zoom in. Yeah, that looks like that's it right there. See the peninsula? And then the water would flow around the woods because it goes uphill a little. Straight ahead, guys. That's it. I'm almost sure because it's a peninsula one. See, they called it a peninsula because this used to be all water years ago. The water's receding, man. It's going to be a dry lake soon. I don't know. That was the weirdest thing, dude. I was walking and I stepped between the bird. Bird just flew out really fast. Yeah, watch out for them snakes. Watch out for them snakes. Watch it, Jared. There's snakes every 10 feet. Hurry up, let's get on the peninsula. This is dry lake bed. There's snakes be here. Snakes ye here. Talk like a pirate and shit. I drank some Moosehead beer. Yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum. A bottle of Moosehead from Canada. Who says Canadian beer isn't great? Over here, dude. We gotta check all these rocks. It's at the end of the peninsula, but check them all. We need to find our grinding rocks. Cupules, mortars. This would be the peninsula, where it's highest right here. Yeah, so walk along the peninsula. We'll find it. I'll find it. That's the type of rock they'd use. Flat granite rocks to grind on. Another flat rock. Here. Oh, there's a cabin. Over there's a big rock. But I don't see nothing over there. We gotta go around the peninsula. The cabin's on the other side. I see it. I think I see something over there. This is the peninsula. The natives lived on this peninsula. They fished on this peninsula. They had their village site on this peninsula. And they had grinding rocks on this peninsula. Here's the Yuba River. The river used to form the lake. Look at that, folks. What happened?
Really?
Just tell me. Let me interview you. Was this a thunderbird?
Oh no.
Hey, was this a thunderbird?
No, it was like a turkey.
Was this a
man.
pterodactyl? The dinosaur's back? Some say they are.
So I went to go take down a
Okay.
step, so I stepped on a log, went like this, and it jumped down at me. I went, ah!
Was it a turkey? You see a turkey?
Yeah.
It was a turkey?
It was huge.
How huge? Describe huge.
It was like,
The my size, your
it was
size?
like about that big.
Oh.
It flew way at me.
There are eagles here. I'm going to tell you right now. Bald
How's
eagles.
that eagle?
There are hawks, eagles, owls, and ospreys. Ospreys are common
It was
here.
an osprey.
An osprey?
It's gray.
Gray?
Yeah.
They have white on its chest a little? Any white on it?
No.
Gray? Ospreys are kind of gray colored.
Yeah.
You know what? They're nesting right now. So it probably squawked at you and said, "Get out of my nest, because I got babies."
The brush was like this high up.
They're big birds.
And then I went to go step down,
Mhm.
and I didn't notice it, and it jumped out at me.
And it went squawk.
No.
It didn't squawk
it
at you?
It just flew at me.
Oh, it flew at you? Was it pecking at your eyeballs?
No.
Oh, okay.
And then I took a big dump.
All right, dude, you're on candid camera. No, Paranormal Ghost Society, candid camera.
Right?
But we got to go look for that grinding rock before we head off.
Let's do it.
Well, we'll stick together. We can look. There's no rush. I'm going to use the GPS, see if I can locate it directly. Okay, folks, we have another grinding rock. You can see there was some grinding started. They never really completed it. There's deeper holes on top. There isn't as many holes as the one rock. Of course, a lot of erosion took place here too. But you have 1, 2, you can see over there possibly, yeah, about 3 holes. It's where they ground their seeds to make flour, nuts and berries, prepping their meal, just like a restaurant, just outdoors, under the moon and stars. Hell, maybe even breakfast at sunrise. Some nice flour, they'd probably not fry it up, but they'd heat the flour over a fire. Make Indian tacos. Let's get closer to the river. The grass is not high at the river. Only here because we're out in the meadow. So folks, we're heading to an old cabin site. I showed you guys the old cupules. That grinding rock's a little newer that I showed you. More of the Yuba River. It's kind of trickling. Yuba River goes through Sierra City as well. It's a pretty place. Very scenic. The river is crystal clear. I mean, you can see, if there was a fish swimming along, you're going to see it. Oh yeah, look, fish, guys, fish. Woo! Fish. Got some trout, baby. I wish I had my fishing pole. They're small, but still fun to catch the little boogers, throw them back. Just check them out, see what kind of trout species live in this stream. There's Castle Peak right there. 6 miles, 5 or 6 mile hike to the peak. But that's Castle Peak. And up here is the old Immigrant Road. I'll talk about the old Immigrant Road, and I'll talk when we get to the cabin, because we'll be able to see it from the cabin. As you know, they had ranches up here. I mean, when the lake started to recede and the meadows grew, Yeah, they grew, they planted orchards and had dairy cattle and sheep. This is very historic here. It's pioneer history back here. Some of the first immigrants that came to the Sierras had to come through Summit Valley. All these peaks you can climb, all of them have hiking trails, and they all overshadow Summit Valley. We're in Summit Valley right now. Well, very beautiful. They have 2 other trails that go, and you can see Donner Lake, I believe, and so we can do the upper ones eventually as well, but right now the bottom of the valley is very pretty too. Yuba River running through, butterflies, flowers, grinding rocks, historic sites. Oh, it's beautiful. Wow. A lot of stuff's gone, like the ice house, the hotels that were back here, even the old cabin. There's 2 cabins that stand, and one's I think is a foundation, which we're close to. Oh, wow. Somebody's camping back there. Look, there's tents and trailers, man. Hell, maybe I'll camp back here. Shit. I'm heading to an old cabin site. Of course, nothing might be here anymore. There's a few cabin sites. Grass is overgrown. Snakes could be around. Here's a trail. So the cabin's going to be near the trail. So you get on your wagon and just go. Whoa. "200 feet. Wow. 130 feet. Bigfoot tracks back here, maybe.
Arriving at destination.
90 feet. "70 feet. 30 feet. Oh. Suppose this is an old. There was an old cabin back here. They had sheep herders. People ran stations, had homes back here. I don't see nothing. Some red flags. This may have been the cabin site. I got a lot of markings. I'm coming down, what? Nothing back here. Still had to look. Found a bunch of muddy prints. Not Bigfoot though. Bear maybe. Oh boy, I can't get through these trees, man. Woo! Here we go, I found an open area. If you want to call it that. I'm coming, man, I'm coming. She's swimming? She took off her shirt. Here I come. I'm running now, man. I want to see my run. Ah, no boobies. Damn. Maybe I get lucky on the next hike. Good Lord, Rick. Trying to get lucky and didn't. I failed. I'm a failure. These productions are not just paranormal, they're comical too. Don't try this at home. What? I do the good Batman impression.
Yeah, you do.
So you didn't catch my breath. I am Batman.
You Batman over here.
I am the Dark Knight.
It's not the young.
I am the Dark Knight.
Oh my god.
When you see grinding rocks on these peninsulas, just think, folks, for 1 second, you know, that there was life here thousands of years ago, and they sat on that peninsula grinding the rocks, enjoying views of the lake and fishing all day. You did what you had to do to survive. Look how high the grass is. Wow. Yeah, it is getting quite grassy. We're gonna go down the old Norden Lake Road, wagon road, or Dutch flat wagon road soon. It's coming up. Got a nice history we'll do when we get up here. A nice history piece. Dude, don't tell me there's snakes looking at me. Yeah, you were like, oh, and looking down at my feet. That signifies snake is gonna bite you an ankle and you are gonna die out here, right?
What's that?
I'm not scared of the snake. I'm scared of you spooking the snake to make it bite me.
I hate snakes. I hate you.
Mm-hmm.
Snake is all mad at me.
Yeah. There's the sheep herders ranch. See it? The post? And then the cabins up here. Cool. Look at this peak up here. Wow. There's a road up here. The bridge? Yeah, that bridge is what we're supposed to cross. There's a bridge up here.
Where?
The road's supposed to cross where that wood structure is. That's a hut, folks. That's the hut. And then there's a cabin up here where the sheep pens are. There's a cabin where the sheep herder stayed. We got to go up here, and then we got to go over the bridge which crosses the river. There's crayfish under the bridge, or crawfish, call them what.
In front of you.
The bridge.
No, it's right in front of you.
Hey, Jared, come here. Look what I found, or Tammy found. Dude, that's what we're looking for. That's where we're breaking. That's a sheep herder's cabin. Yeah, that's a sheep herder's cabin in the shady woods. How deep this grass is, folks. It's so deep right now. I'd be surprised. We might find every historic site, minus a few mortar rocks. You can't find them all. There's a lot of them in the woods. Yeah, guys, yeah. This is what I wanted. The cabin site. Not the hut, but the cabin. There's another cabin here, if we could find it, too. That's on the other side of the lake. Woo! Nice. History. I'm ready to devour you, history. We'll be in the shade, and we'll take the old Immigrant Road up here. There's the bridge. That's the old Immigrant Road. Take it around, back to the other side. We're going to approach the cabin, and this is where we're going to break at. And then I'll get into the history a little more. It's a historic site, folks. Pretty cool. It's nice. Right. Tammy pointed out something to me. I didn't even notice because I was sitting taking a break. This is like a makeshift bushwhacker shelter, but it looks like it collapsed. But then again, what is this? Some kind of animal? Look, this looks like some kind of animal when you look at it. Like it has the legs right here, and then look at this. This is like someone's artwork. I mean, what the hell is this right here? Old cans on some rusty friggin' wiring, and a drum and a table and piles of wood. Look, there's someone's boot in it. What happened to the guy? What happened to the person wearing the boot? Did he disappear? Come up missing? I mean, people all the time die up here. At least a few people a year die up in this region. Never found again. But you look at this, Cramby is right, this is kind of creepy, man. I mean, you don't usually come in the woods and see a stick dinosaur, or a twig dinosaur, or a twig, whatever the fuck that is. Maybe it's a deer. See how there's antlers on top? But it's strange because you have antlers, look. Well, you have to have the cross leg, but it's all, well, bucks. And then you have the cabin. No, they don't have long tails. Woo! Woo! Sasquatch. It's pretty creepy. That's probably something the natives made, but look how long the tail is. You're right, the tail's real long on this. What do you think that is? Horse? Cool. Right here, check this out, dude. Somebody took twigs and they made what appears to be a model of a horse, kind of. Like this would be typical, just outdoor, symbolic, something symbolic. For example, you take the twigs, you know, like when you rock stack. But what they did is they took the twigs and interlocked them to create kind of like an animal. It's an animal. I'm not sure. Maybe a Martis tribe. There's still Martis members of the tribe, and they may come up here to.
Dad.
This site here is an ancient site to the Martis people, and then of course the cabin was built after.
Shoot.
Maybe a horse. See the long tail. It's pretty cool. Look, Jared, there's something up on the hill. Is that just rocks? Look, it's just rocks. See if you can find any more mortars, dude. Up on the rocks here. Holes in the rock, grinding rocks. Matates, they call them. Or matates, or matites. I mean, it depends how you want to pronounce it, but I just call them Indian grinding rocks, like, huh? What? What is what? Bottles? I don't think so, dude. But they could be 20, 30 years old. I mean, I suppose. Just a glass bottle with flowers on it. Like engraved, not engraved, they're like, somebody's hiking through here. They're, the flowers are in the glass itself. So I'm going to go in here, folks. I don't know who would have lived in this cabin, but I'll tell you right now, it is, I mean, back then the men were a lot shorter. If you look, that's right, this is called the Wallace Cabin. I'll be able to look more into it. I got to check my notes and I'll tell you guys about it, but it says Wallace. This is the Wallace Cabin. He was one of the earlier sheep ranchers in the area. Across the valley is a corral I'll take you guys to. 2,000 sheep were here at one time, 2,000. And probably hundreds of dairy cattle. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to show you what it looks like. It's pretty beat down. They used to use, it's typical even in minor cabins, wood frame, sheet metal roofing, gets very rusty, or aluminum roofing, siding. You just nail it on, create a doorway. All you need room for is a bed, maybe a place to cook your food or warm up. Very simple life. He has some kind of metal, what looks like a stove. I got my recorder in here, doing some EVPs. Wallace obviously lived on this land and probably died on this land. There's a history about Wallace too, who came to the area. He was an early European, I think in the early 1860s, who came here, and these pioneers braved this area. You know, there was fights with the natives, harsh weather, and they eventually drew in thousands of immigrants along the Norden Lake Immigrant Trail, which is just behind us. And they had to cross through this valley, so you needed hotels, station stops, sheep ranches, so that way you could feed the locals in these towns like Truckee, Sierraville, and other small little communities like Sodaville, which had a saloon and a stage stop and a hotel. It's pretty cool, but it's low. The men were much shorter back then. I can't even stand up. It's 4.5, 5 feet high. Wow. So what you see, folks, I don't know if you can see it, but you can see the road. That's one of the lake huts, or as they call it, the Norden Lake Hut, Western Lake Hut. There's a northern one, I believe. But you can see the wagon road. That is the Dutch Flat, Donner Lake Emigrant Road. And let me tell you why the road was built. It was to bring in from Dutch Flat supplies to have the transcontinental railroad built. Many Chinese lived in Dutch Flat. They would take the Emigrant Road. They'd get off here to go to Donner Lake, and they'd get off near Donner Lake, right where the railroad camps were, where they were building the tunnels, dynamiting them, using nitroglycerin, just like hell on wheels. And so the supplies from Dutch Flat, such as the food, they had food, dairy cattle from this area would be, the sheep would come right off the press, hot off the press in this meadow, load them up on a wagon, bring them down this road, and bring them to the men who were developing the Transcontinental Railroad. And they had Truckee right there as well. So you had Truckee and Dutch Flat supplying the railroad to be built, because the final leg of the railroad went through the High Sierras, Donner Summit. And we've been in those tunnels. Those tunnels go for miles within the mountain. Miles within the mountain. 2 miles worth of tunnels, and I've been in them. They are haunted. There is something strange that lurks up in those tunnels. I've heard other stories. We've done them, and now we're just a couple miles below those tunnels in Summit Valley. 2,000 sheep here. And I had some history on Wallace, but I don't think I looked online. I didn't get it. I didn't think about it because it's on a separate trail. But Wallace came here, and he decided, hey, the lake area is very fertile. It was the lake was receding. Therefore, these meadows could be, you could have dairy cattle, sheep. And he built a small homestead overlooking the meadow below. And this is what you get along the Donner Lake, Dutch Flat, Emigrant Road, which is just ahead. And there's a little bridge we'll cross too. I love this place. And I'm spending all day here just relaxing. I'll smoke a little, I'll have a cigar, I'll have a brew, whatever. I'm not in any hurry. Take some butterfly pics, some scenic pics, and visit some history. I'm doing EVPs right now. And it's strange. You got a little Native American animal. This site is a Martis, an ancient Martis, the Martis tribe. This was their village site. And so I mean, it's sacred because you have a Native American animal right here. It's probably a horse, like Tammy said, made out of twigs from a tree, and then you have the cabin. So you have two cultures that are intersecting. And, the white man traded with the Native Americans here. They came down the road, the Martis were here, they would trade. But there was tensions. We basically took their land, started grazing cattle, started eating all the plants around here. They could no longer grind on the rocks, and with it's just horrible because they basically is like, we're asking you to leave. This is this land belongs to us, but for thousands of years it belonged to the Martis and other tribes. Folks, if you look straight ahead, looks are deceiving. At first glance you might look and say, hey, there's a face back there looking at us. See it? To the left. And then you zoom a little further in, right there, and it's not a face. It's strange because it looks like a face on there in the wood, but it's just a split tree where the bark broke. Again, you had to do a double take because I was like, who's that man? Or is that Sasquatch kneeling down looking at me? You never know. I was in the woods by myself out there. It gets creepy when you get 100, 200 feet in the thick brush. Snakes. Who knows? Something was moving through the brush, a mountain lion? I don't know. Bigfoot? I don't know. But if I was a primate, this would be my favorite spot to kind of climb trees and rocks, right? So you had to do a double take to make sure nothing was looking at us. We're eating. Might be curious and smell the food. Could be a bear for all we know. If it's a bear, you can have my blueberry bar and I'm out of here. I'll film it though. I will film it. I'm like a paranormal National Geographic guy. Get up in the bear's face, film it, and then hightail it. All right, folks. We're at the Wallace Cabin. I wish I had more information about Wallace, but he was one of the more early immigrants that came here and started the herding, the sheep herding, cattle herding in the area. Back then, this was all lake. It was a huge lake. Now it's all meadows. There's probably about a half mile of water, but this lake used to be more than 2.5 miles long. Now look at it. See, my camera's causing that because these are a different type of batteries. So now they cause... Yeah, folks, you can never... I cannot use my camera. Look how far. I just shut off my camera, folks. I turn it back on, it's still going. I turn it off, it stays about 2 or 3. How weird. Now it's not going. I got a recorder in here too. Wow. Now watch, I'll turn off my camera, you guys can't see it. Watch. It's getting higher and higher. Hit the film thing on your camera. Film this, watch. Watch what I'm going to do. Tammy's getting her camera, look, it's going higher and higher. It keeps going up. Now film. Okay, watch. I'm going to show off my camera, folks. I'm going to show you. Watch. It's folks, I'm going to show you. Watch. It's still going. Ready? Okay, look, it's still going. My camera's not on. It's at a 4, almost a 5. I shut off my camera. Earlier I turned on my camera. I thought, oh, it caused it to go on because I kept hitting the meter. And then guess what happened? I shut off my camera and it still was going. And so I'm having Tammy film me right now to show you. It's still going, and it's higher and higher over here towards the window or the corner. Maybe this is where the person slept, the Wallace, maybe his wife, maybe a small kid that died in the 1850s, because a lot of children died living in these elements. They didn't have much food or nutrition. Anyways, you get the idea. It's going down. Look, it's getting lower and lower, and I'm holding it. It's like the activity. It's like almost the EMF dying off. Ghost? I don't know. Could the Wallace Cabin be haunted? It's a possibility. We'll see what the EVPs reveal. This is Lord Rick. Peace. Okay, I just spoke on Tammy's camera, and we're still getting solid readings in here. Creepy. This place is a creepy place. I told Tammy it's creepy, but in the case of the apocalypse, I could live right here on the Yuba River and Castle Creek. Castle Creek intersects right here as well. We'll be crossing Castle Bridge. But I could live here. I could fish for trout, hunt for deer, set up a little camp right here, sit on the log, and smoke some tobacco until it runs out in the apocalypse, right? Or store up on enough tobacco and bud. But it's still going off. Pretty cool. Maybe the Wallace Cabin is haunted. Give it a try.
It's on nothing.
It's on nothing?
Yeah.
See how strange this is, folks? Whoa, come on, dude. That bee was in my ear. Oh. Nothing? I turned off both cameras. When Tammy left, I turned off mine too. And it kept going around 4 or 5. Nothing. See, folks, proof is in the pudding.
It doesn't like me.
Doesn't like you, or the ghost is gone? Is that, I mean, that's kind of strange, right? He's getting nothing. Explain that. Isn't that weird? He's got nothing. And I had 5. Up to 5. It was fluctuating to 2 to 5, and then it disappeared once you walked off, and you know what I'm saying? And it kept going. I shut off my camera. I stopped filming, and I walked all around. It was going 2 to 4 or 5, and now he's got nothing. EMF. It doesn't have to be ghostly. EMF comes in forms. It's present in a lot of places. But the metal seems to be injected with some. Well, ghosts. It might be. See, in this corner is probably a bed. Yeah. And the thing is about ghosts, their energy's small. Yeah. It's like can fit in a cup. So it's concentrated at the corner, and that's where we're getting high readings. But look, nothing here. This is where I stood, and I was getting readings. Now the readings are up on the ceiling. Yeah. Very weird. Hold on, let me back up a little. Very odd. We'll leave it to the unexplained category, right? Okay, folks, we're leaving the Wallace Cabin site. I'll put a history on our website, www.paranormalghostsociety.org, and you'll be able to read about the Watson family or a little bit on Watson. I don't have nothing today. I just know, he's an early sheep herder that came to this valley, which is the Summit Valley. That's where we are right now. Earlier, this is a Martis village site. Other tribes came here too. Probably the Washoe, more than likely. So we're going to head out of here. So we're going to be leaving. This site's a little scattered. You can decide for yourself if the site is haunted or not. You know, I mean, like I say, you have power lines and such in the area. I mean, don't forget that. However, my EMF detector only detects EMF up to about 100 feet, maybe even less, 25 feet. Strong on a microwave oven. A lot of cans here as well. People have camped up here, I'm sure. You can see the horse better a little right here. But it's very strange, like I was saying about the EMF. At first I turned on my camera, I'm like, oh, my EMF's picking it up. Well, I turned off my camera, and the EMF kept going up and up and up. Twice I shut it off, because we have to weed out electrical lines, interference, things like that, caused by electronic devices. And hell no, turns out I shut it off, it didn't matter, and then I told my girlfriend, you know, grab the cam and film me so you can see me turn it off, and you can see that the levels rose. And then you see Jared go in there, and he got a small reading up in the corner, but nowhere else in the homestead. Ghost? You decide. This is Lord Rick. Check out our site, www.paranormalghostsociety.org. We just investigated the Wallace Cabin, dating back to the mid-1800s, when the first European settlers came to Summit Valley. Tammy's up on the bridge already. I guess this is Castle Creek Bridge. Could be wrong. Holy crap, dude! I just shit myself. Not really, but I'll tell you what, you almost had me crawling through the grass. I'm like, oh man, it's a mountain lion. But then it didn't sound like a mountain lion. Here's the old, do you know what this is? Remember Dutch Flat where we took Sue? Little ghost town? The old Dutch Flat wagon road. That's called the Dutch Flat Norden Lake Wagon Road. Cool, huh? It's historic. And here's the bridge. This little historic bridge. Definitely worth getting my picture on. Here.
Let's do it, Dad.
Okay, we're good, man. It's a cabin we were just at, folks. Like I said, he was an early pioneer. I mean, it was early pioneers came back here. Wallace, pioneers like Wallace came back here and would have to cross the bridge. The water's trickling, but in the spring, there's rapids. The bridge could get washed out. This is beautiful country. And you have Castle Peak and other dominant geological landmarks. Here's the crossroads. Oh, wow. Awesome. Awesome. To be hiking on the old Immigrant Road. So if you keep taking this road, folks, back then in the day, it would take you out to Donner Lake, Truckee area. As you know, Donner Lake is right below the town of Truckee. Transcontinental Railroad's built here. There's a Chinese catfish pond not too far from here, a lake. The Chinese put them there. And then I seen the China Wall coming into this place. Chinese built great walls around here. That's the hut. There's at least 2 huts. They're not really historic, but you can still take a look at them right here. And this is beautiful country, folks. That was the Castle Creek Bridge, I believe, we crossed. And there might be another bridge here. The Yuba River and the Castle Creek meet up here. So I thought you guys would like to put in perspective when walking. This is the old Dutch Flat Donner Lake Immigrant Road, and then the Immigrant Trail also runs through here, intersects. And these old wagon roads still exist today, 150 years later. Per se, the road itself is a historic site, along with all these Indian grinding rocks known as metates, or cupules. They make these cupules, or mortars, by as the women, the Native American women would speak, talk about their warrior men or children, laughing, giggling. The women would prepare the meals and grind into the rock for hundreds of years, teaching one generation to the next. It may not look like it, but we're almost at 7,000 feet. These peaks only are, 1,000, 2 more thousand feet above us. A lot of these peaks around here are 7 to almost 10,200 feet around. I know the Castle Peak is up there around 10,000 feet. And we have nice views of Castle Peak in the area. It's just a beautiful landscape. But there's a sheep herding site with a historic plaque coming up, and the next movie we'll do, I'll cover a little bit about the sheep herding. It might even talk about Wallace, who came to the area. This is one of the homes of the Martis Native Americans for thousands of years, maybe 2,000 to 3,000 BC, and prior to that, there were other tribes in the area, like the Washoe, that may have hunted deer in the meadows. At one time, this was all lake. But they wanted to dry the lake out because it posed a hazard. You have Truckee and all these other towns in the area. So we're going to continue filming. I just want to show you me walking on this road to nowhere. It's really amazing to be able to take you guys on a journey. I didn't find no big footprints, but I'm telling you right now, I mean the horse sculpture, or the twigs made to look like a horse, that was different. I've never seen that before. Tin cans hanging on a pole. I found this print with toes. It's probably a bear. I heard some strange screams earlier, but I know it was a human, probably yelling at her dog, whistling and stuff. Like I said, we investigated a Wallace Cabin, and I had gotten also EMF readings, which is rare out in the middle of nowhere. And my equipment, I turned it off. I still had them. Turned it on. Was getting them for a while. Was going up and down. Sometimes staying up. Jared grabs it. We come back 5 minutes later. Nothing. In the one corner. Just a little light reading. So it's possible that this land is haunted. Whether it's the Native American spirits or, people who passed away due to the harsh winter storms and illness that swept through the area back in the 1850s and 60s. Some wagon trains didn't make it. Other ones moved on to Nevada and places like Virginia City to invest in mining, or Truckee. When the Transcontinental Railroad came through, they were building it, supplies were on this road. This road, supplies were brought in. Precious metals, wood railroad ties, all of it was brought in on a wagon right here. And I'm walking on it. So I'm gonna have Jared hand over the camera to me. Beautiful July day, July 2nd, 2016. We're gonna add our 4th of July fireworks gallery to this. It's not very, this is a piece of American history, so it is patriotic to be here. It has Native American history, some of the first white settlers that made the West. People that formed Virginia City had to come through Summit Valley. A lot of them did. A lot of well-renowned politicians, soldiers for the Army, miners, people-owned companies, built towns around here. So just check out our site, www.paranormalghostsociety.org. We're at the Sheep Corral. You can see there's people with horse. They have RVs. They bring their horses on trailers. A lot of horseback riders on this old trail, just like 150 years ago. This is Lord Rick. Peace out. We'll be back with more footage. Jared just said he had gotten a tick. We are in high grass. We need to make sure if they are on us, we smack them away.
When I was ducking the high grass.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, we got a plaque up here. So what I like to see, man. I like to see history. I like to hike for history. And that's what we do. We hike for history. Oh yeah, the Royal Gorge. I'll tell you guys about it. America's largest Nordic ski resort opens in the 70s at the Royal Gorge. Yeah, I mean, this is Van Norden Meadow. Truckee, yeah, it's all part of the Royal Gorge. It says skiing in the U.S. Since then, the sport has grown in the near European and popular popularity, Royal Gorge became renowned the world over, boasts over 200 kilometers of skiing on nearly 6,000 acres of scenic terrain. So the Royal Gorge is kind of, well, here's a black bear. I'll tell you what we're dealing with. Whoa. What do we got here? What's this, ice lakes? Oh, here's where we are. We're right here. See? Right here. And this is where the dam is. And there's another mortar thing right on this peninsula, but yeah. So where's the Royal Gorge? Is this the Royal Gorge? Yeah. Ice lakes. Oh, that's overdeveloped. Those are parking lots. You can see all the little streets. I don't want to go where there's a lot of people, but this is all wilderness where we're at. And there's, you know, a few horse trailers. You got to bring your horses in somehow. But look at this, folks. This is what it looks like above Summit Valley. I told you, it's beautiful volcanic rock and everything. This is kind of, well, Summit Valley is below, but this is the Royal Gorge, man. Wow, how cool. Not a lot of history. This is a brief recent history. Yeah, I mean, it does date back to the pioneers' times, but it says a historic and scenic Royal Gorge property west of Donner Pass contains tall peaks, old growth forests, streams, meadows, and a steeped in history of portion Native American trade routes. There is a few trade routes not many know about here, but it says the Overland Immigrant Trail and the Transcontinental Railroad came through here. Van Norden Meadow is one of the few large subalpine meadows north of Yosemite's Tuolumne Meadows. Restoration efforts will soon be underway. The property contains headwaters of the North Fork of the American and South Yuba Rivers, critical for California's water supply. That's because it drains into a lot of these lakes, including Nordic Lake, where we're at. Walter and Esther Hewlett Royal Gorge Rim Trail. This is the rim trail. This is how you climb up into the rim. Of course, keep in mind, folks, the rim trail, this trail that you see here is also part of the immigrant trails of Dutch Flat and Donner Lake. Just a portion of it. However, if you continue on, now it's the Walter and Esther Hewlett Royal Gorge Rim Trail. And so you have the Royal Gorge history. It's very beautiful in the Royal Gorge. Once you start getting up above, because that's what you're looking at. You're looking at the top of this rim up above, and this is what it looks like. See how people have their horses? People ride horses through the Royal Gorge, and they bike. You can see bicycles, and it's just, I mean, here's that peak. You see that peak, folks? There it is right there. It's up in here, I believe. I could be wrong. There's a couple peaks that have rock formation on top. These are all volcanic peaks. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Love this place. See, folks, they call this Summit Valley because you're surrounded by summits. 360 degrees, really. And they just continue on. And if you're on if you're on the western side of this valley, and you look over this ridge line right here, there's two or three other peaks that are very large and prestigious. So you can see, I mean, basically it's seclusion. But this is one of the bigger subalpine meadows in the Sierras. We're standing in it, and we've hiked the whole thing, the whole perimeter nearly. And we're going to be hiking back to the dam. I can't wait to do the hike back. Still got some mortars, maybe another cabin site. So a lot still to look forward to before the end of the day. This is Lord Rick. We're still looking for Bigfoot tracks in the meadows. No luck so far, but, you know, there's a lot of people here. I'm sure in the winter months, when people can't get back here, that Bigfoot sightings, the prospect of seeing them goes up 10 times, or at least finding tracks, because, you know, when they get 20 feet of snow back here, there's not going to be humans for weeks. Standing in Summit Valley, just below the Royal Gorge. A train's coming by. Transcontinental Railroad. Wait up for me, Tammy. I'll be right there. I want to see these flowers, man. Hear the train, folks? It's Transcontinental. It's as old as the first white men who came to this area, almost. Oh, they got a plaque. That's what I was looking for. Ow.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Sound of bells when it was quiet, no trains, was magical to hear. The tinkle of bells on the lead sheep was once a common sound in Summit Valley late in the summer and fall. Lake Van Norden, I said Nordic, I'm sorry folks. Lake Van Norden, filled with water with each winter snowfall. You can see it right here. Well, they don't show it here, but this would normally be lake. I've seen pictures of the lake full. And this is Summit Valley, where you can see the sheep grazing. And then you have, look, this is what was here, folks. You had the sheep, you had barn. Look, there's a house, there's a barn, there's another house. This was kind of like a small community back here. As a sheep graze in Summit Valley, Mount Judah in the distance. Donner Summit Historical Society data knowing. It says, note the cattle to the left. Center, sheep grazing in the meadow, 1928. Bottom, Bob Blackford sheep corrals at Soda Springs, and 42. So this area, this is what it would look like. Your typical sheep farm would have a barn, a house, you know, an area to store the food, the alfalfa possibly. Anyhow, it says, as the summer progressed, PG&E let water out, even out the flow to Drum 4 Bay Power Plant down the Yuba River. As the water flowed out, the grass grew, hence the meadow. Just as grass had grown, the Bass sheep herders arrived with their flocks and set up camp. I do want a picture here, guys. Oh, the sheep herders have started their journeys in Central Valley in the spring and worked their way up the canyons to Sierra Summit meadows, including Summit Valley. Here, sheep fattened on the new grass in the preparation for the rest of their journey of the railroad. And so, you know, the sheep herding, I mean, they say 1900s, but I believe that someone like Wallace, who came here, had brought the idea that you could use this as cattle ranching. The land is green and lush, but you'd have to bring them in here, and in the winter you'd have to herd them out, obviously. Summit Valley and Soda Springs were for decades one of the top sheep shipping centers in the United States, and sheep continued to move to Summit pastures in 1970s. And this is one of them. You can see the corral and then the pasture. This whole area is pasture land. But other ranchers own some land too. As many as 2,000 sheep had grazed here. It says when an Interstate 80 was built, it included underpass for sheep so they could get to the meadows under and north of Castle Peak. Said they didn't have to cross the highway. A good story. In 1946, 8-year-old Millie Martin opened the door of the Norden store to see the most beautiful dog in the world. He'd been left behind by the sheep herders. Millie's aunt coached her to convince her father to keep the dog, and so Skippy became part of the family for 12 years. He never lost his herding instinct. Once early on, during a family vacation, he spotted some of the cattle and raced away, soon herded them into a tight circle. He was on a leash after that whenever there was livestock around. Sounds like my dog. So, you know, some old pictures of what it looked like. I'm sorry I'm holding the camera down, and I know I'm not holding it on the words, but I'll go down slow and you can pause it and read it if you want. Awesome. So this was a sheep herder's ranch where they load sheep. They had probably a cattle walkway where you can load them and unload them into the corral. And this would probably be remnants of one. But cattle herding and ranching, sheep herding, it's very popular out here. In the 1800s, around Kybers, not too far from here, they did a lot of sheep herding. And I can think of a few other areas I've hiked at. Highland Lakes, they had a small little community back there, and they started bringing cattle in the Sierras much earlier than most of the pioneers. The pioneers brought cattle in much earlier than most of these local towns around Truckee and meadows. A lot of meadows around Truckee. But the idea of bringing livestock in the Sierras has been a practice since 1850s. And they would build some fence posts and corrals, and sometimes just let them roam on the free range, have a dog that keeps them in line. There'd be wolves and coyotes. Gotta find the trail along the other side of the lake, folks. We have some more mortars to look at, another hut, and an ice house, remnants of an ice house if they still exist. This is where they load them into the corral. Some pieces of rust. Maybe they were found here at the corral site, I don't know. Gonna head the old wagon road here. It's a nice place. I got a nice dirt road. It's not really a trail, But we can stop in the woods and check out places, or along the lake and check out the lake shore. Cross some creeks up here. And taking the road less traveled. We're not that far from the Jeep, ladies and gentlemen. But you get the idea. I mean, this is... The Martis people love this place for thousands of years. And the Europeans came here, they fell in love with it too, enough to build hotels. Now when we walked along that last road that curved around where the bridge was, there was a couple hotels back there as well. Because people on the stage route, they needed a place to rest their head. And they'd eat steak. Because you had dairy cows and dairy cattle constantly being slaughtered and raised back here for the miners. And the hotels would buy meat, and you could have a nice steak in the middle in the 1800s along the way to Virginia City or Truckee for that matter. Once the railroad came through, it was all over. The road wasn't needed to bring in railroad supplies like ties and rails and metals. This is Norden Road, not Nordic. I keep saying Nordic. I'm thinking of the resort that's about 10 miles from here. This is Lake Norden Road. And I've seen a picture in the 1800s of Lake Norden, and I've seen pictures decades ago, and I've seen when these meadows were part of the lake, and I've seen pictures where the lake came up to this road. It's incredible that today it's just 2-3 miles of lake is gone, and now you have big open meadows, grass growing, flowers, butterflies everywhere, birds. It's kind of like a wildlife preserve or sanctuary. So today's a good day. We've seen a lot of historic sites, a lot of nature, nice breeze coming through, some pelicans on the lake, and this morning an old historic dam, an old sheep herding cabin, along with a corral where 2,000 sheep once fed off the grasses of these meadows. Beautiful country, and I'm glad to be here with my family. I want to wish everybody a very safe and happy Independence Day. This is what freedom's about. This is what about living in America is about. The ability to explore and be who you want to be. Take the road less traveled. You know, American history dates back thousands of years, not just when the Europeans came here, and this is an ancient site, so we got to treat it as such. Pretty soon we'll reach the lake. Hole through the rocks, folks. That's not caused by Native Americans. That's a clean drill hole. Very weird. Like a triangle sitting there. Maybe it was used to mark something back here. I don't know. Oh, yeah, these are rare. I forgot the name of these, but...
They're called bells.
Bells? They look like bells, don't they?
Lanterns?
Yeah, I think they're called something lanterns. Yeah. Cool. Look, no water's flowing through this dry creek. About a mile to the dam, folks, and the ice house, and some more mortars. And we may take a dip in the Castle Creek.
Yeah, you got full body.
In the Yuba River up here where they intersect. No, man, I just relax, you know. I don't need towels. It's getting hot out. The sun's my towel. Check for mortars, dude. They might be along this road. See all the rocks? And some of these rocks were put here by glaciers 10,000 years ago in the last ice age. And then, of course, the lakes filled up, carved out these valleys. Snow melted, forming lakes, which are a lot lower, and temperatures are a lot hotter up here than they were years ago. And the natives enjoyed this valley. They came here for the cool weather in the summer because they said the natives came here because it was cooler. If you stayed in the desert in Nevada, you'd roast. You come up here, it's 15 degrees cooler. Nice little hiking trail. Highway 40 Scenic Bypass. Interesting. Here we go, folks. History. Only 70 hours from Sacramento to Virginia City. Safety and comfort can't be beat. By far the best road constructed across the mountains. So yeah, about 17 hours via wagon. Half the maximum grade of other roads constructed in the best possible manner, wide enough for teams to pass each other without difficulty. Commodious hotels have been erected along the route, so said the ads for the Dutch Flat Donner Lake Wagon Road. It opened in 1864. Built in the beginning of 1862, the road went through Summit Valley here. It was built to carry freight and supply construction of the railroad. So yes, the road, this is part of the old road here. I was wrong. The Royal Gorge Trail differs a little bit than here, but this would have been the old wagon route right here. I mean, it doesn't matter. These wagon routes all connected in trails anyways. However, you know, some people refer to them by name, and I'll be like, you know, I know Donner Lake. Today, you can clearly see the route run through the valley where it sits higher in the surrounding meadow. So much traffic packed the earth that maybe that's why the forest encroached on the meadow. Trees did not grow on the route. The railroad marketed the new toll road as a big improvement over the Placerville Road. It saw heavy usage, and in 1867-85, train carloads of freight a day were unloaded at Cisco onto freight wagons to travel over the summit on Dutch Flat Road. The railroad made travel faster, cheaper, so the road fell into disrepair. By 1873, the Sacramento Union said along the route were remains of many buildings which had been erected years ago. Before the railroad was completed, most hotels, things like that, were abandoned. But disused as like I said, it says disused as travel was transferred to the Great Passageway, which was obviously trains that came through this very area. Large barns and hotels still stood as wrecks, their roof crushed by the weight of snow. In some cases, only the blackened remains of large hotels that had been consumed by fires. The first locomotive in California and Sacramento was hauled on wagons. From Gold Run to Summit to work as a donkey engine at the central shaft of the Great Summit Tunnel in 1867. Missouri Bill hitched 10 yoke of oxen, which is 20, because there's 2 per yoke, to his logging wagon, which had 2-foot wide wheels so it would not sink in the mud. The huge wagon load was such a scary sight to oncoming traffic. It caused one stampede and raised hell on the trail. There was trouble every day, and stage horses would balk at the sight of her. Eventually, oncoming teamsters blindfolded their mules so they would not run off when they saw the engine coming. It took 6 weeks for the locomotive to get to Donner Summit on Dutch Flat Road. Things to do right here. Walk the remnants of Dutch Flat Road here in Summit Valley. The remnants are about 100 yards south of this spot. There are Native American mortars, wildflowers, sea views to admire, clean air, and lots to photograph. So let's see if we can find it. Wow. It says Alfred Hart, 1867 wagon on Dutch Flat. Dutch Flat Road in Summit Valley. In Summit Valley at Castle Creek. Carlton Watkins wagons at the same spot, probably an A.A. Hart photograph at the same time. Pictured on the left, Alfred A. Hart, 1867. Summit Valley from Mount Judah. You can see Dutch Flat Road in the back right with the white line. That's what you know, wagons would cross here. Now I don't know. This is the old Donner Summit Trail. I was talking about it earlier. When I stood on the bridge, I'm like, yeah, this is it. I mean, yeah, these are all immigrant trails or old wagon trails. However, some are more prominent, were more well used than other ones. Other ones were used by sheep herders. But I wanted to check for cupules. See, this is probably the old wagon trail right here. So it's important. They said there's more cupules and grinding rocks along the way, so I wanted to at least check back here, see if I could find some. It's an old wagon trail. Beautiful scenery. Not much has changed over the years, really. A lot of different flower species. I'm looking for some cupule holes. You know, you just don't know till you check the rocks. It's good to get as many as you can on this trek, at least be counterproductive in our work. Because we gotta do historical research as much as Bigfoot research. I don't see any back here. But you know, still worth checking out. You have multiple levels of history found back in this area. Wow. It's incredible. Oh yeah. Remnants of the old wagon road right here. Hello? So you can see the old wagon road, folks. Just keeps following. Well, it used to follow the lake when there was a lake. It still does when you get down here. Wow. That's why you can see no trees grow here. Dude. You guys are supposed to be following me down the old wagon road. Where's Tammy? Yeah, I know. That's the old wagon road. It's old. 1860s old, man. Oh. Jesus. Dude, it's like a maze, man. Where's the road? There's Tammy. Whew. I'm coming. I'm right here, don't worry. Here. Watch. See the road the trail right here? It's right here. Crazy, huh? All these thick ass woods. Here it is. Ha ha! Right here is the road. See the lines? That way I get more nature pics. There's the road. Cool. Back in business. We're back on the road. Huh, baby? Oh, I don't know about that. Where's the nature on the road? You can't even see the peaks. It's a beautiful hike. Taking the old wagon road's better. We were on the dirt road, but it's newer. This one dates back to the mid-1800s. You can still see the road a little bit. Big ass wagons used to come down here. It doesn't feel like we're at 7,000 feet, but we are. Not nearly. About 6,700 feet here in elevation. And we've played football today, hiked, and it's been a nice day. But we're kind of used to the elevation. Find any cupules? I want some cupules. Wow. Look for some Bigfoot tracks. Take the path less taken. Folks, we have the other Summit Valley Hut. We're on the old wagon trail. All these rocks, some of these rocks might have cupules, but you gotta look at them. That's the thing, folks. But I like being on the old wagon trail. I'm gonna tell you why. And it's not to be disrespectful or anything, but we were on the road, and yeah, it was a good road. It borders these woods. However, it was so closed in, you can't see the peaks, you can't see butterflies, you don't get to see the cupules along the rocks, you don't get to see the lake or the pelicans. So I wanted to take the lake trail, which is the Emigrant trail here, that went to Donner Lake and the Donner Lake Truckee area, while it also connected the Dutch Flat, which is another semi-ghost town like Truckee that Jared and I have been to and done some research at. Talked to some people, they told us some ghost stories, did some investigation of the cemetery and the historic sites. It's pretty phenomenal. Pretty phenomenal. Is it stable? Yeah.
Dad, guess what? I want to pass this.
I gotta pay the troll fee? Dude, that's solid. That's not going to cave in. Thank God. So we'll take the old road. This road had huge wagons, oxes, would bring in supplies to the railroad, which is just nearby, folks, the Transcontinental Railroad, where it connected here at the Donner Summit. Connected at Donner Summit, where we investigated the train tunnels up at the peak. And yes, they are haunted, and they're not far from here. We did it kind of when there was snow on the ground, so when you come out of each tunnel, you have to walk through snow and be careful not to go off the edge of the peak. It's pretty cool. And the history back here is amazing. If you don't come back here, you're a fool. And if you don't take these, make your own little trails and explore, you're a fool too, because there's a lot of history to be found back here. We've spent a whole day researching this place, and we'll do a nice educational story on YouTube and our website with pictures, videos, all that good stuff. This is Lord Rick, taking the road less traveled. Wow. No cupules here. It's marked that this is where the cupules are, but I do not see them. Yeah, they get eroded, they fade away. You can see some nicks in the rocks. Looks like they may have been filled in, look. I'm thinking, yeah, I don't know who would fill these in, but it looks like they're filled in, seriously. How strange. Very strange to see that that's the site where they're supposed to be and there's no cupules. It's as if somebody took mortar and filled them in. It's the weirdest thing, I'm telling you. It is the weirdest thing. Same with this rock, look. I don't know, it could just be the way the rock is. Dirt's a little softer here. It's good for Bigfoot tracks. It's strange, and there some of the cupule sites never found. You know, there are forest sites that, and preservation sites that give you coordinates to where, per se, for example, the cupules are or the cabin is, and they're off just a little bit. Here's the creek right here, son. Look, right here. They're either off or you go to the site and you can't find the damn cupules. Wow. Cool. This is pretty. See, the thing is, you're supposed to come out over here by the creek and the road. But if you want to follow the creek, if you want to follow this here, over here, up here, but you can cross it with your feet. I don't care. Doesn't really matter. But I want to, the ice house is kind of near the...
Yeah, don't do it.
What? You went in it. Not over here, but you can cross up here. Nice. Somebody crossed here. Look, see the shoe prints?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, they didn't
Oh yeah, they wear sandals. I got sandals in my bag. I could cross. I don't care. It's just water. God's gift to mankind. Even if you don't believe in him. Water came here to this planet by comet. Marshland. I don't even see the lake, dude. But I hear the birds.
Let me jump out my bag.
Why, dude? Just walk across and jump.
Look, there's rocks right across right there.
Yeah.
Let's go back this way.
Oh my god. That sucks.
Well, there's an area to cross up ahead. It looks like a little wood board or something. I don't care. At this point, I'm just going to walk through. I got a nice picture of those flowers, by the way. I've never seen flowers like that, maybe once. Very odd. Very odd looking flowers. Thing is, I gotta stay near the creek. Oh, you want to go where the lake and the creek meet. So that way there's a swimming hole, but I don't know where we gotta cross at a certain point. I guess. How you gonna do that? Jeez. What? Crawfish?
No. Stop. Come around. Look, it's an awesome ass beetle. Look at the blue wings and stuff. They're not coming across.
No. I'll go here.
Do you not trust me?
No, I don't. Never seen a beetle like that.
Yeah, me neither, dude. Oh no, us. We all eat ours. Sorry.
Maybe. We're at the old ice house site. Oh, the general location. Look, Jared. Oh. Watch it. There's a car. There's waterfalls. Look. Somewhere in one of these open areas, folks, was the ice house. It says it's on the right-hand side, right here in this area. And I see a bunch of little roads. It was an ice house, but what they do is cut the ice from the reservoir and load it on the trains. And look what I just found. Oh no, that's just a rock. But I don't see nothing back here, do you? There's a sign warning you to watch the railroad. It's just an ice house by the road here. But it says a ice house site. It doesn't say ice house. It doesn't say ice house foundation. But look over here. Let's look over here real quick. See how it's wide open? This probably was where it was. It had to be, and it could be over there too. That's wide open also. But I mean, I don't see no sign that there was an ice house. Could be though. Look how clear it is. And the railroad's right back here. I don't know. My guess would be that the ice house isn't here. The creek you can swim at's up here. There's two creeks. You got Castle Creek and the Yuba River. So, I'll show you where the other creek is. It's up near the dam. I think this is the ice house site right here. Ice houses were very common in this region. Boca had a couple, Truckee did. What they would do is they would wait for the reservoir to freeze and cut 12-foot blocks of ice and ship them on the railroad to all these boom towns in Nevada so they could keep the meat, the ale, all that on ice. And also they would put the ice blocks inside the mines to keep the miners cool. Because if you put ice down there, the miners could work longer, which was more efficient. Back towards the dam, which is only like half mile, not even, because it curves around right here to the dam. So I just wanted to know. I'm thinking it was somewhere over here. It says right-hand side. You know what I'm saying? But they had to be close to the lake, and they had to be close to the railroad. You couldn't ship the blocks any other way but boxcar, you know? But I don't see anything, and it says site, which means there's probably no foundation or nothing. And it could have been a wood and ice house too, and if that's the case, it would be severely deteriorated over the years and not even exist anymore with all the human traffic up here and terrible storms around Donner Lake. The Truckee area gets the worst snowstorms. All right, folks, well, you have a little road here. Look, there's snow up on that peak. Do you see the snow on the side?
Yeah.
This could be it too. See the pile of sticks and wood? I don't know. It says on my GPS where I marked it though, right over here is the ice house site. And look how open it is here too. See how open? There's no trees right there. For all we know, it could have resided right here where it's at.
Oh, doggy. Hey, buddy. Hey.
You're welcome.
Dude, I'm so cute, y'all.
Too hot not to tape.
Right?
Keep in mind, folks, that there are petroglyphs in the area, so you got to keep an eye. I didn't see no petroglyphs, but I heard they are here, and they may be kept under secret wrap because, to tell you the truth, they don't want people to destroy them. There's very little left of this place. You know, most of the sites are gone, and so they're protected, the ones that are left. I did not find every site, but I know I was in the general area looking. I found about 3 different grinding rocks. There was 2 or 3 I didn't find. There's a couple cabins, I only found 1. No, I think I found the ice house site. It was in that general area. Trains coming by.
Can I jump underneath the train and then wait until a long opening is and then jump out on
No.
the other side? Alright, I can lose some fingers. Maybe my brain.
Some
my
pingers? Yeah.
body, help my body. That to be fast.
Yeah, it's an old wood post. And these posts signify areas where, or structures that once stood here. Ranches, corrals, cabins, maybe hotels. It's an old fence post. But we're almost at the lake. There's another fence. Look, guys, there's fence posts all throughout here, man. This must be the ice house. This could be the ice house site right here. You see all the posts? Huh? What do you mean? Oh. Yeah, I know. Some old fence posts. This might be the ice house here. It was pretty close to the dam. And like I say, it can be off, the markings can be off a little. It's a nice little open area. Oh yeah. Oh wow. Right here. Is this the dam? Huh. Alright, let's go down here. That's the ice house site, I think, with the wood post. That open area, but it could be a corral. I want some pictures with the dam before we go. Jared, there's an area you can swim up here if you want to swim, but it's up to you. It's totally up to you, dude. Oh, we're back at the dam. Whew. Wow. Look. Norden Lake looks like from up above. Pretty cool, huh? Pelicans, ducks, the geese have moved on. We're at the top of the dam. This is the valve. Just wanna, before I go down, this valve controlled the water level. It's old, respect it, it's history, and it still stands, which makes it a nice part of Summit Lake, or makes a nice part of Summit Valley. To go with the nature is a little history as well. Check us out, www.paranormalghostsociety.org. Your gateway for adventure, the paranormal and strange, to urban exploration, and to the unknown. This is Lord Rick. We're standing on the old Summit Valley Dam, or as some people called it, Norden Lake Dam. Peace. I climb on down the dam. We've already done this once today. I'll do it one last time. Fish, I hope. Whoa, 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 I can't stop. Huh? Oh no, screw that. I'm not going if there's leeches. Holy crap. Folks parked here on Old Norden and Donner Lake Road near the power plant. There's no plates. I just wanted to, I tried to film it real quick. I also filmed it when I walked past. It was just sitting there. Nobody was around. And just in case a crime happens, you can associate it with that van. It's very odd. It's not an everyday van. It's probably native, local to Truckee. But still, I just want to be safe. So I'm documenting it. It's barely a lake anymore. Norden's just a pond. Norden's just a pond. And birds all huddle together. Check us out, www.paranormalghostsociety.org. We're leaving Summit Valley. It's been a prosperous day. We've seen a lot of historic sites, nature. Look for Bigfoot tracks in the wetlands. Had some strange things happen. Our ghost investigation of the cabin turned out very well. The Wallace Cabin turned out to be quite haunted, actually. We'll have to examine our EVPs. But I just want to leave you with the peaceful and serene thought of these beautiful summits. We had pelicans that grace the shores of Norden, Norden. Once a very large lake. Today, great woods grow. And back 100 years ago, they used it for sheep and cattle ranching. And bringing in supplies of transcontinental railroad. And if you really want to get technical, the natives lived off this lake for thousands of years, leaving behind mentates, grinding rocks with cupules where they ground seeds and acorns and prepped their dinner, and had villages right on these shores in the Yuba River. Thousands of years, and prior to that, this was a jungle, a swamp with alligators, very large prehistoric beast, and even an ancient sea before California became connected with the Pacific Ocean. We hope to return. We also visit the Royal Gorge area. It is what it is. And Tammy's taking my picture, and I'm filming her. And we're just outside of Truckee in a place called Soda Springs. We're a saloon, a store. Wow, look at that. That's huge. Look, dude. It's about 14.5 inches. And they're all over. Yeah, but if something was 500-600 pounds, that's how you can make it. So you're saying they had to be 600 pounds. This is like concrete, dude. It's soft in the spring, but not soft enough to sink in. Because Is there? Well, maybe this has got washed up at one time, huh? I can't say it's a boot. I mean, there's some ridges where the toes are. Like some ridges areas, like some ripples. So maybe someone had a big foot and was just walking barefoot through here.
Right here, I can put my foot
In the whole print? Huh.
No, mine would fit. Mine would fit.
Yeah, but this one, my foot could fit in.
It's not gonna fit.
Almost 6 inches wide, folks. I'm just documenting it. I'm not saying it's a print or anything else. But it's worth still looking at. And, you know, we got to think about all these strange little oddities here. They kind of add up here and there. I mean, yeah, there are some human tracks. This is an earthen dam, so it's not very stable. And in an earthquake, it could give way. That's why they drained the lake out of fear. Nice. So we're leaving, folks. I just want to let everyone know people do come here to BMX as well, not just hike or cross country or jog or off-road. People camp, people fish, people study the Native American people who were here for over 10,000 years.
I did it.
Whoa. And they saw the beauty in this land.
Dad, come on, cross.
Got my camera wet. Look, there's water.
I love you.
Yeah, sure you do. Nothing says I love you with water on like $1,000 camera. Thanks. All right, folks, we're out of here. Check us out, www.paranormalghostsociety.org. I want to thank you for watching our videos. This has been a splendid expedition. Like I said, a lot of strange little things. I mean, that footprint was huge. And there was kind of toes at the end of it. So something had, you know, probably 500-600 pounds pressing into that. Unless the dam just had instability and some humans walked through there and someone had a size 14 or 15 foot, and that happens too. So we don't want to discount anything. Just keep an open mind and keep watching us. Check out our website. Some history on the dam. Peace out. We got to cross the bridge and the Jeep's on the other side. Yeah, it was awesome. You know, when the natives came here, they loved this land. They thought of it. It was much cooler back then. You know, nice 70 degrees days. But it was, I'll tell you, it was a sizzler today. Not so much with the breeze and the nice shade, the forest. This bridge is not very stable. Dude, they're bent and everything. Whoa. Don't look down. These are moving, dude. Want to go swimming in this water here? You might be able to catch a snapping turtle if you're lucky. Alright, folks. We're out here. Thanks for watching our videos. I can't wait to bring this to you guys. It's a lovely place. Check it out. Make sure if you walk around the lake, you create your own trail and explore petroglyphs, cupules, sheep herding sites. We're in the parking lot. I know it doesn't look as secluded anymore, but you can. I just want to give you guys your bearings, show you all the mountains and woods surrounding this place. It gets remote very fast. We're at the Jeep. Folks, I was just below at Summit Valley. I was right, you see the train tracks? I was right down in there. See, there's the peak. Remember that peak? Remember these peaks? Well, there isn't just a peak, but if you look at that. The reason why it's hazy, there's a fire 50, 60 miles from here, and it's really hazing up the area, so I'm glad I got my scenic shots earlier, because the peaks are hardly visible anymore. But that's Summit Valley. We are all the way down over here where the lake is. You see the lake? That's Norden Lake. And we stood right at the shores and hiked all the way almost to the end of the meadows. Pretty cool, huh? I just heard a scream. What the hell? So, woo! Wow. This place gets stranger by the minute. Been finding strange shit all day. I'm going to show you something really quick. The Royal Gorge is right below. You see this little road? It goes up a little. There's a canyon between the two peaks. That's the Royal Gorge, and yes, we stood directly below it. It's kind of weird, because now we're kind of level with the gorge, the entrance to the gorge. You just keep climbing with your horses, and that's where all the scenic views are. It's, you know, it's a good distance. Most people take horses back in here. And so you can see why the Martis Indians fell in love with this place. You can see a road down there next runs along, there's railroad tracks. But you can see the Martis natives, they love this place. And they utilized it, it's lush. At one time this valley used to be a giant lake. Now it's dwindling into a pond. Well, I'm out of here, folks. I'm heading out of Truckee and I'm going home. Have some pizza, celebrate a great day of paranormal investigating, some exploration, and some birding and chasing some nature. Butterflies all day long. You're standing at the... This is historic. This is where the first highway here out west, the Lincoln Highway, came to be. Just right above Summit Valley. The first transcontinental railroad and telephone line, all within this area. It's very historic as well as scenic. Check us out, www.paranormalghostsociety.org. This is your founder, Lord Rick. We're driving down. This is Donner Summit right here. To the Donner Railroad tunnels. We're coming up. This is a massive bridge. When I first moved here, the first couple weeks, I stood on this bridge. I stood out here because this is part of an old wagon trail from the 1840s. Some of the first Europeans came out this way, plotted and charted this land, and then of course hotels, wagon roads, small towns came to be, and then the transcontinental railroad. The tunnels are right up above. You can see the whole tunnels on the side. To the left, that's Donner Summit right there. We're just below the summit. And I'm having Tammy film because it's not a good idea for me to film on these curvy roads. I could do it, but these people are dumbasses. People are crossing the road, not looking. I gotta be very attentive right now for their safety. And they're not looking because a lot of them are tourists and they've never seen mountains like this. But I live this every day. This is miles from my house, man. Here's the Donner Lake coming up. Tunnels are to our right, a couple hundred feet from the road, and then the lake's in front. And of course the Donner Party stayed on this lake in 1849, or you can see it as hazy from the fire. In the 1840s they came here, and of course the party froze to death due to an October snowstorm, because it snows here sometimes from October till June. It was cold this morning up here. It warmed up quick though. It was a nice day, a nice breeze, a lot of mountains, a lot of good hiking, butterflies, flowers, some strange things. I came across a lot of strange things today. And Summit Valley is just a small part of the Donner. This is all together in these mountains. There's Bigfoot up by Donner Peak. Bigfoot's real prevalent here. And so you had to wonder if the locals that came on this pass, now there were some bandwagons that fell over and they rolled down the cliff, but you have to wonder if they seen Bigfoot. Because there's a couple old ghost towns around here, just miles away. The miners documented Bigfoot. You can see, look how vast it is. Peaks, cliffs, forest for miles. This is the Donner Lake region. This is what Summit Valley is all about today. I mean, just grand summits and peaks, and we're up on top of them now. We're not in the valley anymore, but we're going to be going into the Donner Lake Valley and Truckee. You can see, anything can be out here, man. Anything. But I mean, the views, this is a pass. It's a treacherous pass. People die on this pass. Have died. I see there's a truck. I took a picture of a truck on the cliff when I came out here last time. So yes, people have died. Somebody like, oh, they're rock climbing the walls here. Yeah, people come up here to climb the cliffs. It's pretty crazy. But they want the nice scenery of Donner Lake. So we're almost to the bottom. And I just kind of wanted to show you what my trip has been like today. It's been all about scenery today. Scenery, beers, good time, spending time with my family, relaxing, doing a little ghost hunting, a little Bigfoot tracking. But we're almost at the bottom. And I want to thank everyone for watching our videos. Bless your hearts. This is Lord Rick of the Paranormal and Ghost Society. Here's Donner Lake. I'm just driving past it. Just remember, folks, when the Donner Party was stuck here, they ended up resorting to cannibalism, but not of their relatives, but other people within the party. And I'm going to tell you something about that. They had to do what they had to do. They ate their shoe leather and everything else to survive. And after they would perish, they wouldn't eat each other alive. They waited till someone passed away, and then they tried to eat each other to survive. There was no food out here. You get 40 feet, 50 feet of snow. This lake's frozen over. I'm surprised it's thawed right now, to be honest with you. And so Donner Lake is it's not only haunted. I get a lot of reports and have good evidence here. But I get a lot of strange incidents such as Bigfoot up here, and it's very good to be able to work with this area once again, leaving Summit Valley and just kind of enjoying a nice stroll or cruise along Donner Lake. Just want to wish everyone a happy 4th of July. Please be safe, don't drink and drive. It's July 2nd, July 4th, Monday. We're going to watch fireworks up on a mountainside, drink a few brews, eat some pie and watermelon, cook some steaks, have some ribs. Little corn on the cob. 4th of July's got to have the corn on the cob or corn on the knob or whatever you want to call it. So we're leaving this area. Our expedition's done. Much love. Leaving Donner Lake. We gotta go swimming. We gotta go to the beach. Crazy people. Go hiking on a secluded lake. Relieves congestion, man.
choose what stripes and bright stars.